This is the 86 Podcast, where we're talking everything hospitality with your host, Richard White. All right, let's get started. All right, and we're live. So everybody, this is episode four of the 86 Podcast. We've had such a great run so far. I know you've listened to them all on your flights.
It happens so fast, you know?
Liar. Yeah. Anyways, big shout out to Chef David Franklin and Steve McGoey and Jay Ashton for joining us for 1, 2, and 3. And we have Hayden Currie for episode 4. Very excited about this episode.
I'm excited too.
I wouldn't be correct if I didn't mention our sponsor, Freeman Signature, somebody you've never heard of because you're not in this world. But Freeman Signature has sponsored the first 5 episodes, season 1 of the 86 Podcast. So we're just going to read them out a nice ad right here. Freeman Signature is Canada's first and only true national food service focused sales and marketing agency. With over 95 years of experience representing top quality brand name products, their dynamic team will meet and exceed your expectations. And we're back. Hayden, so I know you as the way that everybody else knows you is nobody knows you.
No one knows.
But I know that you do this. And This is something that I'm very, very much in love with. This is, for those of you who don't know, this is, and you can't see what I'm holding because you're on Spotify, but this is the Island Diaz Spiced Rum. This is honestly the best rum you're ever going to have. And this is how we became friends, really.
Well, you almost brushed me off, though, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. He almost brushed me off, actually. So what I was doing is at the LCBO tasting in Collingwood, December.
Last year?
2 years ago,
2 years
I think.
ago.
Well, 2 years in December.
Yeah.
And he almost walked past, and then I guess you were listening a little bit, and you heard that I was from the beach.
Yeah, like the guy behind me. Because you offered a sample. You were giving out samples.
Yeah. And then you came in, and then you tried it, and then I think you spent like 5 minutes with me. You bought a bottle for sure, but you're just hearing the spiel.
I did. Like I walked in, and usually you go into the liquor store and you see like people offering up samples. Like, hey man, do you want to try this like rubbish? And I'm like, no. And honestly, do you want to like come out of the liquor store or go to the till smelling like booze? Like probably not, right?
Probably not.
So I typically say no. But the guy behind me said yes, and you had said first off, you had said that you were the owner of the company, which is never the case. It's always some sort of marketing lackey, right? It's a marketing organization, a firm. And that you were from Wasaga Beach. And I had just been elected to the Wasaga Beach Town Council. So like the word Wasaga Beach to me was like everything. And I just did a 180 and came back.
I'm not going to lie. When that day was 3.5 hours and I sold 71 or 72 bottles.
Why?
In 3.5 hours. And it was such a blur. So you may have told me that you're the counselor of Wasaga Beach and I didn't register. But then later that night, I was kind of on my own high because no one's ever done that ever. Like the Smirnoff people sell 2 to 5 bottles. I mean, not the Smirnoff. People that have other companies sell 2 to 5 bottles because they're not the owners or whatever, because they're just hiring marketing people. But so later on that night, I think you posted it saying, hey, everyone, check out Island Diaz Spiced Rum. This kid's also from the beach or whatever. And then I looked, I was like, oh, he's the counselor of Wasaga Beach. So I messaged you right away.
Yeah, I would never introduce. I never introduce myself as a town councilor.
Obviously. I just didn't know.
I think people tell me I'm stupid for not doing that. They're like, you should, you got to like market yourself. You got to get free shit. But no, I went out for lunch with a friend and so we walked into the restaurant and right to the hostess is like, and this is, he's a town councilor here. And I'm like,
so weird.
Oh, it's
when people do that, they take my thing and then they try to, a lot of my friends, when we go to the restaurants, they're already smashed. They're like, he's got a rum company. And I'm like, okay, this is not the time to do that, but sure, I have a rum company. Because thanks to that conversation, I started to invest with Island Diaz, and I tell people I own a rum company. And my twin brother Marcus, if you're listening, thanks for the correction. He always shouts out. He's like, no, he owns like 0.5% of 1/3% of one. Well, why doesn't he go around telling them that he owns it too?
I know he could get away with it.
He could actually have a meeting with me, and I wouldn't even know.
So, on behalf of all of your friends, who in the fuck are you? Because like we know you as this guy, but like you do a little bit more than rum, don't you?
I do a little bit more than rum. I'm a film director. I've been in the film industry since I was like 18. So I moved to Toronto from Wasaga Beach. Born in Toronto, moved to Wasaga Beach when I was like 1. And then I stayed here till I was 18, moved to Toronto, went to film school, and have been in film since. So a lot of people think I'm just a rum guy. I don't actually make the rum. I've never made rum in my life. I've watched it happen. I'm sure I could figure it out. But yeah, I'm more of the branding, the marketing guy. We're like 50-50 with this, by the way. Yeah.
You have some crazy marketing. I gotta have.
We do. And that stems from my career. My career is a comedy director. So
there's a lot of comedy in your. Okay, I gotta ask a question. So for the marketing people out there, most people would say, like, if you look at the bottle, for those of you listening on Spotify, the bottle is like a very Caribbean theme. There's like a parrot wearing a do-rag. I don't know. There's a skull. There's a ship. Whatever. It's very pirate, very Caribbean. Kind of branding on the label. It's even like textured to be like beach sand or whatever on there. It's very, very cool branding here at the bottle level. The rum is obviously very good, very, very strong Island Diaz spice rum flavor. But like your marketing is not like, you're not a pirate.
Well, I am sort of, but I'm not Caribbean.
Okay, all right, I'll take that. But like, how do you find your marketing voice when you're not being Caribbean, you're not being pirate, you're not being nautical? Like, how did you come up with your content?
So I mean, I've always been into like sketch comedy, like always, and it just comedy in general. And I've always written. I don't know if you've ever seen my movie. The Film Student movie is a feature film that I wrote and directed with TJ Derry. We did this about 2012, and it's a feature length. We actually so we wrote it, and then we went ahead and did it. Didn't have any money to do it, to pay people. So I had a lighting and drip business, like an $80,000 business, and I sold it to pay people at the very end.
Really?
I sold everything. I sold the surfboard that I had just to pay the crew at 3 weeks after we shot, because everyone had to get paid then.
Yeah.
So the day we wrapped, I sold everything, and then yeah.
Was it like a bit of a scam? Like people were like thinking they were going to get that you had financing, they had everything. And
no. Everyone knew I was going to pay them in 3 weeks. They just didn't know how. And I had, when we started, I had a little bit of money. Then I kept buying props and stuff. And I think I had like $100 throughout 3 weeks.
Where's your distribution? Is it online? Is it YouTube? Is it?
So we kind of got ripped off.
How did that happen?
We signed a distro deal, and the guy kind of just overpromised something. We actually have the rights back, so I might just try to re-distro it. But yeah, it's on YouTube right now.
It's on YouTube
for free. Yeah.
What's the name of the movie?
The Film Student Movie.
The Film Student Movie.
Yeah. Right. So the concept's me getting kicked out of film school for making like a racy vodka ad.
Okay.
Which is crazy, right? I didn't even think about that until now. And I get kicked out of film school, and then my revenge is I'm going to make a feature film.
Okay.
But I'm just an idiot, and throughout the whole movie, I'm fucking things up, and people are quitting on me, and this and that and the other, and then I become famous from getting a helmet thrown at my nuts, and it goes viral on YouTube. So I get famous for the wrong reasons.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of your life too. I watched one of your Island Diaz ads.
Yeah.
It was centered around like me.
As you should, and as you should be sharing, right?
I do. They're all,
no, I'm kidding.
Okay. So like this particular one we're going to talk about in a second here, I didn't share because it was so racy. And
which one was it?
The protein one?
Muscle rum.
Muscle rum.
What's wrong with muscle rum?
For the people at home, can you just give us the synopsis of that ad?
Yeah, muscle rum is a protein muscle drink.
Right. And what was your character's like theme?
He was a muscle guy. He was a tough guy.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah, he has a sword. Percy. His name's Percy. Percy, yeah.
So British word for penis. Okay, got that. Okay, because it had some pretty, very racy undertones in the whole thing.
The dick thing?
The dick thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the dick thing. Yeah, so there was a dick thing in there.
I mean,
it was a cow.
Did you could just give me a thumbs up. Did you like it? Did you see it? All right, we'll show her after.
I think we'll show her after.
You liked it, right?
I loved it. I could not stop laughing. It's so out there, like, but you can kind of see this this strange comedy in everything you do. Like earlier, we were looking at your old, it's not old, whatever, your content with Jack Lynx and the Sasquatch.
Yeah, the Brent Burns commercial. Brent Burns is a local boy, sort of. Barry,
close enough.
But I mean, he played for San Jose Sharks forever, and he was top 10 NHL forever.
So is he like the spokesman for Jack's Link? Or
he was at that point, like not spokesman, but he was like one of their paid athletes.
Yeah.
So that came from the Film Student movie. My friend saw it. And he's like, "Hey, you'd be perfect for this commercial I want to do." And then he told me the concept. I'm like, I'd write all day for that. So I wrote it. And then he came in, we started writing together, and we just came up with, like, I think probably the funniest commercial I've ever done, and the biggest budget one too. Like we flew down to San Jose. That Sasquatch is $80,000 a day.
What, the actor?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. Does he do this like car insurance ads? Isn't there a car insurance ad?
No, that's a different guy, but like he does all the Jack Link stuff.
Okay.
So any Jack Links, he's the guy. Yeah.
So what can I ask? Like, what's a budget for?
That was like that one was like $350K.
$350K.
Yeah.
Wow. And you
for one day. Yeah.
That's an insane.
It's cool.
That's pretty cool for a guy from Wasaga Beach to say that's.
Yeah,
I know it's not your only thing, but I'm like, that's pretty.
That's one of my favorite things, though,
Yeah,
because it honestly, when you get a like a commercial bid, so let's just say Island Diaz, I don't know if the company, they come to me, or I come to me or whatever, and I'm like, I have this idea, I want you to do it, and then you're like, cool, I'll write to that. By the time you film it and then you go through all the legal, your concept's not there anymore, right? Like the legal changes everything. What we wrote. What we wrote and then what came out, what you saw is what was on paper, and that never happens.
So do you have to like pitch that? Like I'm thinking Mad Men stuff here. Like, do you have to
so yes, but my friend was the creative director of it, and he knew he wanted this style of comedy. So it was a single bid, but I had to pitch the written stuff.
So did they give you did they say you have to use the Sasquatch? Because that's their
yeah. It was like the title was Working Out with Sasquatch. So it was like, think of exercises that would go. So the only one that didn't fly, so there was Sasquatch, right? Which is great. There was rear naked choke. There was beef burpees, stump scrambles, and beard lifts, because we wanted to incorporate Brent's big beard. And then there was one that we wrote, it was called Jack-offs, and that's the only one that Jack Link's like, I don't know, that's too much. But usually it would be like they would have a lot to say, right? So that was really fun to do.
That's crazy. The naughty undertones. I can use that word. Is naughty still a word? Yeah. The naughty undertones, the deviant behavior in your ads is hilarious.
Well, here's the thing: if these guys are, and I've worked with a lot of big brands, if they're shutting things down like that people want to see, there's no red tape with what we're doing, to a limit. I'm not really pushing stuff that's like too offensive, and I'm not really an offensive guy, and I think I know where the line is. But people won't even put a red shirt on someone that should be wearing a blue shirt. In a weird, like I've had phone calls where they were arguing over that for hours, and I thought that was like, as a creative person, you're just ruining the creative because you're talking about the wrong things.
I know this is super off topic. We haven't even discussed this yet, even personally.
Yeah.
The roast of Tom Brady. Have you seen it?
I did. Yeah.
So I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen a lot of it. And thanks to TikTok, I've seen a lot of clips. But I feel like comedy is back in a way. I feel like everybody had, like you got your Jimmy Carr or whatever. Like you have these guys that will push boundaries a little bit, but never like that. I've never seen comedy boundaries pushed so hard and people laughing at it and no blowback from the people that would get blowback. I feel like maybe creative and comedy can kind of come back to where it should be.
I hope so, because it seems like, I think it goes into the whole woke thing where people are just afraid to say stuff now. And I am too. Like I'm not trying to offend. I'm not trying to offend anyone. But I feel like if it's a joke and it's not that bad,
funny is funny.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think so. I hope so. And I think that's what we're trying to bring back with this too.
I really expected when I started to look at your content for Island Diaz, I really expected like a drunken pirate scene. Like I really did. I was like, that bottle says to me, Caribbean, or even just ripping on just being at an all inclusive in the Caribbean, like.
Well, we're not done yet.
I don't know. Like,
we got some stuff coming up.
Like, what happens if you've been drinking Island Diaz all day at one of those like swim up bars and you pee in the pool? Like, what color's the pee? Like, is it blue like in or like in the movies, or does it come out a different? Anyways, that's something for you to come up with.
Yeah, totally.
But I do love that. You're not just a film guy. So we talk about you're a film guy, but like, are you a loud partner in a restaurant?
I'm a loud partner at Mannequin.
Where is that?
That's Ossington, 202 Ossington.
What do they call that part of Toronto? Because I suck at parts.
Little
of
Portugal.
Little Portugal.
Yeah. So Ossington, Dundas. Ossington was actually rated top 10 coolest streets in the world.
Yes.
And that really, like, obviously there's an uptick. We've had it for 8 years.
Yeah.
So it started with Lawrence Bill, who, did you meet him? You met an Irish guy, but like he's a big English dude.
Your Irish guy was hilarious.
Yeah.
Typically young bartender.
Oh yeah. Typical. Yeah, totally. So Lawrence started Man of Kent. He's actually a man of Kent
He's from Kent.
Yeah. So he started it, and I had, I was doing shows in the States. I was going back and forth. Me and him were in a short film together. We hit it off and became good friends. And we were just drinking on St. Patty's Day. He's like, yeah, man, I just opened up a bar. Just bought a bar. I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, for some reason, I'm like, yeah, I'd buy into a bar. He's like, yeah, I'm looking for partners. So like, I had no interest. I always would be like, yeah, having a bar would be cool. Like, why wouldn't you want to have a bar? Yeah. I go to bars all the time. I wouldn't mind having one. So I gave him a check the next day.
And so you just like, do you know how to like, have you ever worked in a bar?
Never.
Have you ever worked in food service?
No.
This is a food service podcast. What the hell are you doing here?
I don't know, dude. I guess I lied to you.
You're kind of like into the industry because you're a part owner of a bar, but you also own a rum company. I'm like, Jesus,
right?
But, like you're an honorary member of the.
The joke is I don't know how to make a rum and Coke though.
No,
I'm learning. Yeah, I know how to drink them, right? So, but no, so Lawrence, I guess, and then he brought some other people in. Some people just kind of fizzled out. I stayed in, and now it's at. From when it started, it was kind of just like it was always like a fun place people would always go to, but like the food was never really there. We brought on Adam Squires, who owns Pies by Squire, and he came in and he's a partner now, and he's done an incredible job with the food. You had the food, right?
I did, yeah.
What did you have? You had the.
It was like a pie. It was a curry pie or something.
Yeah,
it was spectacular,
dude. He comes from like a bunch of Michelin star restaurants. Like I can't say enough nice words about those two, so I won't. But like, yeah, no, he's really switched around. Now it's like a restaurant. Like now I go in there. Before I go in there, it'd be like cheers, everyone. I go in there now and it's just like random people, which is great. It's hard for me to get a seat now, but
yeah. I mean, it's busy.
It's busy. It's busy, and we got some other stuff coming up too, which I'll tell you about off the record. But yeah, no, it's really exciting. I'm really happy. We made it through COVID, which was crazy. It became a bottle shop. It was like the first place you get Island Diaz at.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it was rough times for years, and it's still, we're just kind of getting over things, right? But
yeah, you need to learn how to pivot. One of my favorite restaurants here in Wasaga Beach is called Catch 22. Owner Bob there is a good friend of mine, and
shut up, Bob, because we're on that menu.
Are you?
Yeah.
Actually, that's true. I was in there for opening night and I was reading the cocktail menu, and I was like, "You got Island Diaz?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Did you know that I'm a party?" He's like, "I have no clue."
I don't know how that even happened, but like, shout out Bob and whoever facilitated that. My friend Phil, who I went to high school with, he was taking his lady out to Catch 22, and he sent me a photo of that. I'm like, where's this, dude?
Yeah,
he's like Catch 22, so maybe I'll go check it out.
But they had to pivot hardcore during COVID. They were, like a steak and seafood restaurant.
Yeah, of course.
And, pastas, which don't do well on Uber Eats. And even at that time, Wasaga Beach was so small, we didn't have Skip or Uber or anything like that.
Right.
If you wanted takeout food, it was like delivered. It was pizza or Chinese. Mm-hmm. And if you want anything else, you had to go and get it. So Uber quickly established here, and they just started doing takeout food like that wasn't on brand for them. Like you could buy a lasagna or like whatever, they were doing anything like that. And then they just pivoted into a pusateri. It's like a high-end food shop with like a grocery aisle because grocery stores could open during COVID.
Right.
Yeah. So they had like a meat counter, a cheese counter, high-end cheese counter, and everything, and it was fantastic.
Dude, COVID was so crazy. What were you doing? Were you here?
Yeah, I was.
You were here.
We were actually. My wife Kim, she's in the audience here today. Hey,
what up, Kim? She changed her shirt.
She's wearing a Dallas Star shirt.
She added a shirt.
We're going to throw her in the river because, geez, Dallas, they're going to lose. No, she had to go to work, a work conference in Dallas, and her boss was like, "Hey, let's go catch a playoff game." But she's wearing a t-shirt. It's cold in there, so she grabbed the Dallas Stars sweater. She came home in this thing, and I'm like, "What?" Anyways, where were we going with this?
Wherever, dude. I'm loving it. But no, Catch 22 with Uber Eats. When you were what you were doing in COVID?
Yeah, during COVID. So Kim and I, we had a house over on the other side of town in Wasaga Beach on the old golf course there. And her sister was moving up here, and they were looking for houses. And so I was, had her sister's husband and kids in my boat. We were going up and down the river, just killing a day so her and her sister could go house shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And she calls me. She's like, "Come by Sheila's house." I'm like, "Why?" So I pull up to the back of Sheila's house here. She's in the window of this house as it's for sale because Sheila unfortunately passed away, and his house was on the market from her daughter. But anyways, she's like, "We're buying this," and I'm like, "No, we're not." So we bought this house in COVID, and we renovated it during COVID. So like
it's funny because if people are watching, they think this is the house.
Yeah.
No, the house is amazing. It's beautiful. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a nice place. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No,
So we bought this bar. Well, our friends own the golf course here and a bunch of restaurants and all that. And when they came through with the tour with us when we had just bought it, they came to this bar. This is like a 70s Cheers bar. You guys can't see it all, but like there's like a brass rail on the other side, and I don't mean the strip club. Like it's pretty cool. And our friend was like, and so the first thing is going to go is this bar. And I'm like, hell no.
Keep
the upside down glasses and so we kept this. But so we renovated this. So we work from home. I'm in food service. She's in food service. So, we're up at our desks, being, 9 to 5ers. And then on the evenings and weekends, we were scraping ceilings and painting.
Yeah, no, it looks beautiful. So. Actually, I pulled in and I had to take a photo and be like, is this the right place?
I know you texted me. You're like, I'm right up. Well, you were late. And I was like, maybe you went to River Road East. I don't know. No, it's a fun spot. So during COVID, like our industry got eviscerated. So we had to lay off a lot of staff. So, in my day job, I'm on the leadership team. But during COVID, to fill my days, and because I laid everybody off, so I was sales manager for sales team. Essentially, wasn't there, but I'm also like managing, client calls, how our product would be in the field. Because you can imagine, like everything shut down overnight, and we have millions of dollars of fresh beef product in the market that now needed to be managed. That wasn't being bought because restaurants weren't open.
Right.
So like it was pull your hair out craziness for weeks. The stress level was through the roof. The volumes went through the floor. Like it was a disaster. Like I don't even want to go back to it. But so that
PTSD.
was COVID was not good for our industry.
No.
And then the snapback happens when COVID ended. As quickly as it ended, it quickly got back. So from producing very like at 20% capacity in our plant for food service products to now having to go back up to 120% capacity. It was crazy. And all the distributors were like, don't short our orders. Like we want to make sure that because they wanted to win. Right. So they didn't want customers to say, well, I can't get products at this distributor, so I'm going to go to this distributor. So we were kind of just, hustling around. So for me it was, and for Kim, it was absolutely crazy. But you're no stranger to the food service industry.
I like food.
You like food?
Yeah.
So in your film career, you filmed you were filming food factories? What was that?
I used to direct Food Factory. I mean, I've worked on Food Factory a bunch, but I directed Food Factory USA.
What's that show? So what give people an understanding of that?
So we go into a food factory. So let's say it's Hershey Kisses is one that we did, which is cool. Yeah. We show the process on how it's made. And then there was Food Factory and Food Factory USA. So the Food Factory USA, I was kind of able to make it funny.
Right.
So I'd interview people and then interview like the head of the plant or whatever, and just put my spin on it. So it was like how it's made, but kind of funny, if that makes sense.
I like that.
I do like goofy shit like around the factories, like hero shots of like some of the factory workers, just like in a rap video type thing. And then
I don't want to rip on Hershey's Kisses, but they don't look like a kiss. They more look like a turd, like, right?
They look like a turd.
They look like a poop emoji.
Yeah.
How is that a kiss? I guess that's a modern day kiss. Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't even, what? I should have asked them.
That would have been a good question. Yeah. Totally. How did you come up with a kiss from a turd?
What's so funny though? They would barely like let us see the process.
That is so. I'm in food manufacturing, and although our plant is literally an open door, the owner of our company, he prides himself on, and he should, on the way that we lay out our factory and the way that we conduct our food, whatever safety or QA is pretty cutting edge. Like for a company that's 90 years old and in a building that's like that's not 300 years old. I'm kidding, but in an old building, to see it when you walk inside, you're like, it's crazy juxtaposition. It's so modern. It's so crazy. But anyways, he prides. So we allow people in our plant, but like in my industry, there's a lot of protected and secrets in there. And I worked with companies in the past where nobody, not the distributor, the customer, nobody can see the plant floor because everything is so top secret.
Well, we did hoisin sauce in Compton. That was a trip.
In Compton?
Yeah.
The factory's in Compton?
It's in Compton.
That's crazy.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it isn't. It's in Long Beach or Compton. I did like 4 or 5 in LA that were like close to each other. So they wouldn't let us see anything except for the tote that the stuff was in.
Oh yeah.
And it was metal.
Yeah.
So we had to film that. And then there's a tube that went to another thing. And then it would just go into the bottling side. So it's like we weren't able to see anything on how it was made.
Because like hoisin's like fermented sweet potato.
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you because we didn't get to see anything. Yeah, it was crazy. So to make the episode, we had to make the guy pretend that he was on a top secret mission. And he was hiding all these things, and he didn't even know, because it was like really confusing. Because if you're making cookies, you see the flour going, you see this and that, and then the chocolate chips, then you see the baking, whatever, and you get a meal out of it. But with this, it would have been a 30-second episode.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, why sign on to something and knowing, and then
when you realize you have no content to show, like, hey,
or you don't want to show it, and that's totally fine, but just don't do the show.
Yeah,
right.
That's crazy. But, other food show you did was Carnival Eats.
I shot on Carnival Eats.
You shot on that.
So shout out Noah Cap. He's got a show with Guy Fieri coming out. It's out. It's called Best Bite.
Okay.
And so Guy Fieri tells him that he needs to go to a town and find the best bite in town. So him and 2 other chefs go around, and they go to a bunch of different restaurants and they judge them. But Carnival Eats is basically Noah going around carnivals or fairs, state fairs, or just festivals, and eating like fucking crazy shit. Like, he eats some stuff from, it's just nuts. Like
deep fried butter, like that kind of crap.
Way worse. But some of it's really good. Like, we were just in New Haven, and we did the oyster New England Chowder Festival.
Oh yeah.
And it was all seafood. So it was like lobster rolls and scallop rolls and oysters and all that, like lobster pizza. It was great. But I've seen them eat like a pickle with cotton candy and nerds on it. It's like,
that's weird.
It's
I find that, I did a festival show. So on my old show, Food Service versus TikTok, we were doing something, and it was like an homage. It was the last show I think we ever did too. It was the end of the 4th season, and it was the end of it. We got canceled. Not because the show sucked, but because like that.
You said something inappropriate? I'm kidding.
Well, I do sell hot dogs for a living. No, it's just the SBK network. COVID ended, and that was their whole purpose, was being like a food service cook show, like for people, because we couldn't go see restaurants. We couldn't sell our products face to face. So what we need to do, we need to create some cool content. So Food Service versus TikTok was all about taking TikTok trends, which was a new thing. TikTok's a new thing. And then seeing if we can make an actual food service recipe out of it. So we'd guests on, we'd make some weird stuff. And so the last one, I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was, we came across a TikTok for a guy that put soft serve ice cream onto like a Southern fried chicken sandwich and went at it. And I thought that was kind of weird. I got the premise right away. I was like, yes, deep fry and ice cream go together. I used to be a chef, and I used to make deep fried ice cream at this restaurant all the time, and it was disgusting. But
for yourself or for the
restaurant? Like, it was a menu item. It was our most popular dessert. Everybody did, because when you look at the menu,
like Chuck E. Cheese or something, or
it was like a marina restaurant up in like Owen Sound. Like, I can't remember the name of it, but I was there as their chef when I was in college, and I had to make all these deep fried ice creams, which
they're good.
As a chef, like, they don't teach you this as an apprentice. You don't go into being an apprentice and you're like figuring out, how to like julienne carrots and then be like, and next on your lesson is deep fried ice cream. Like, it's just not on the curriculum, right? So when I went into this restaurant and the owner said, okay, so we also have a deep fried ice cream. We want to see if you can, elevate that a bit. I'm like, I'm sorry, deep fried what? I'm like, you can put ice cream in a deep fryer? Wouldn't that kind of go crazy? He's like, oh my God, you have no idea. So you take like ice cream, you soften it up a bit, and like he would encrust it with like cornflakes that have been like processed down to like breadcrumb, whatever level, and then freeze it in the deep freeze to like get it like to -40, so like hard, and then just like a quick flash fry.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so deep fried ice cream's a thing, chicken's a thing, and I'm like, it was the end of the summer. It was September. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make a dish that is everything to do with like carnivals, like, the CNE and all that sort of stuff. But also talking about ice cream as a savory sandwich element, ingredient. So I deep fried everything. I made a hamburger bun, and I deep fried the dough to cook it. Instead of baking it in the oven, I proofed the dough and then just cooked it in the deep fryer. So I had a deep fried bun, deep fried chicken breast, obviously. Someone saw deep fried chicken breast, deep fried ice cream, and deep fried every other topping on top of it. And I didn't test it because the show was like this show, just film it and go. Like, no editing, no messing around, no trial runs. There was nothing. It was just like either it worked or it didn't. And we're on camera, and this was on like LinkedIn and like Facebook Live and stuff like that, and Roku and everything. So no swearing was allowed, right? they were very clear. You can't drink alcohol.
Are you good at not swearing?
No, I fucking suck at it. So like no drinking alcohol. So no making alcoholic drinks. So you can't.
Right.
You can make an alcohol. So you can make an alcoholic drink, but you couldn't be seen drinking it because the algorithms would cut it out, right? You wouldn't get seen. So anyway, so there I am. I've got the sandwich. I take a bite into it. Oh, holy shit, that's gonna like, oh God, like that's not why I got canceled, people. But yeah, I swear.
Seems like
it was so good. Like if you've ever deep fried bread.
So I made deep fried ice cream in high school.
Really? Where?
I did chef training.
Wow, so you do have chops.
Yeah, but I didn't. I was like, it was more the dishwasher type dude. I'm good at washing dishes. I don't know why. But our chef or our teacher showed us how to deep fry ice cream. And what he did is he grabbed a piece of Wonder Bread, cut the crust off, and then punched it a bit, put the ice cream there. And I think it might have been like soft serve a little bit, but not really. I think it was Breyers, like it was just out for a bit. Put it in and then put the other on top and just like batter.
Okay.
Just put it in.
So like encapsulated in white bread, like a Wonder Bread.
Yeah, that's how I remember it, and it was good.
Yeah,
it was really good. And like the ice cream,
like a deep fried sandwich. It was like a sandwich,
sort of. Yeah. But that's the only way or the only time I've ever seen it.
Really. Yeah, no, we used to do like these giant balls. You know what I mean? It's like, it was so gross. Like, and then the plate presentation on it was rubbish. I'm like, whatever. How are people even eating this? It was more of a novelty.
They'll do it.
Yeah.
You ever been to Dangerous Dan's in Toronto? I think it closed down, but they used to have the deep fried Mars bar.
No, so that at the CNE they had that. I remember that. Yeah,
those things are gnarly.
Yeah, you freeze them first. I have a client up in Sturgeon Falls, Ontario, of all places, which is like the casse-croûte capital of Ontario. For my English friends who don't know what a casse-croûte is, it's French for chip stand, I guess, essentially, whatever, snack bar. But anyways, up there, and so she makes pogos and lots of different things, and she made some deep fried Mars bars, and I was up there one day, and she made them, and I was like, oh, this is so good. But yeah, you freeze them first, right? So that they survive so you put them, so you batter them while they're frozen, you cook them, and so when they cook, they come up to that perfect temp where they're just like soft and
they're good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Deep fried Oreos.
Yeah, it's good.
Really good.
As I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, things that would deep fry well. I'm like, could you make we should do this on a show. We should make because like some of the ingredients that people put into their deep fried batters, like condensed milk and all these like different little hacks that, you know, home chefs would never know. But man, I tell you, your battered is one thing, but what happens if you have rum battered?
I've baked with it a lot. So I'm a good baker.
You weren't baked with it. You baked with it.
I baked with it.
Well, okay. I just want to make sure I get that clear. It's distinction.
I wasn't baked. No.
All right.
I don't do drugs. No, I did. I made a babka.
A babka?
Yeah. I'm really good at baking. It's crazy because I think I'm so creative as a person or as that's my career, that I like having to follow a recipe to a T.
So you're good at processes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in baking is ultimately like if you can't just, it's not like cooking. Cooking's different, right? It's its own separate thing.
Chemistry baking. Yeah,
it is. It really is. So I like being kind of told how to do something. So
what's a babka?
Babka is a Jewish dessert bread.
I should.
So it's like are you Jewish?
No, but like I work for a Jewish company or a Jewish owned company, and my grandfather was Jewish, so I should have some Jewish knowledge in my head.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. It's like the wrapped bread.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like a chocolate one or a cinnamon. Yeah. I make the chocolate one, but at the end of it, you're supposed to put like a simple syrup over top to get in there. But instead of simple syrup, I'll cook this down with water, and then I'll just pour that on top.
Oh,
yeah. It's really good. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. So you got some skills. Honorary member of the food service community. I like that.
I am actually part of the food member. By the way, did you know this, that we won best brand?
I did.
I don't talk about this enough.
Well, I want you to talk about it, but like, can you tell people how you got your dad involved?
My dad? Yeah. So he passed away a couple months ago now. Yeah. But like
the video was
the video. So
the video lives on.
I mean, he got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer about a year and a bit ago. So I was going to come out with a non-alcoholic rum. Yeah. And he's been sober for like 29 years.
Right.
It would have been 29 years 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I had the plan on doing the Donnie Diaz. His name was Don Currie. A lot of people on the beach definitely know him. Mm-hmm. But when I was coming up with that, I was like, oh, we should do it dedicated to my dad, whatever. And I talked to Jake, who makes all our labels, gave him all whatever he needed. And Jake's also sober, so he loved it. Loved doing all this whole thing. did that, and then I was able to actually print it out and show it to him like a couple months beforehand. And then now it's hopefully we come out with that in the next couple months.
So can you tell people what the notable award is?
The notable award. So this is notable is from Toronto, but it's all Canada.
Yeah.
So this is the best brand. So we won best brand.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you did the video with your dad, which was the coolest thing.
So my dad. Sorry, that's what you're asking. I thought it was. So my dad did the acceptance speech.
He did. Yeah, it was funny, right?
He did because he had no idea what it was.
Yeah, which was funny because he's trying to like be the best dad ever, but he has no idea what he's talking about.
I dressed him up in all the Island Diaz swag. He had the hat on, the shirt, the bottle, obviously, and he was trying to tell people what I wanted. He had no idea what it was.
I love it, and and for your dad to be a sober guy talking about
I think he's bought more rum bottles than anyone else I know.
But Mr. Process Guy, so how hard is it to from a process standpoint, how hard is it to start a rum company? Can you tell us how hard or how easy the journey's been?
So shout out Chris Jacks, who owns Nickel 9 Distillery. So I was doing his ads, and he, again, Island Diaz was just all like, he knew about it for years. He just knew that I would just go and make an Island Diaz like fake cocktail. So when I was doing a lot of ads for him, he's like, I was still cutting him a deal. He's like, this is just really expensive. He's like, we should do something together. And I was like, again, same thing with like the bar. I had no real intention on starting an alcohol company at all.
But it's easy to make I shouldn't say it's easy to make a spice rum, but like making a spice rum is one part, but like how do you make it like?
Well, no, Chris Jacks makes it really good. So his recipe is like, a spice rum is generally like nutmeg and licorice, nutmeg and like vanillas and caramels, but this has no added sugars. It's licorice root, tonka bean, cassie bark, cherry bark, and sassafras.
Sassafras.
And chaga.
It's like what's the singer sings sassafras? What's this? Kids tell sassafras. Come on.
I have to Shazam that one. I don't know.
You have to Shazam that one.
So
it's Aerosmith. So Aerosmith. Anyways, whenever you say sassafras, I always think of Love in an Elevator by Aerosmith. Okay, so easy enough to make the rum, but like to come up with the recipe. But like, how do you get rum? Like, how do you get into the market? Because like for most people, they're going to be like, I go and I buy Kraken or Bacardi, or I buy like anything but Island Diaz. But yet you sell a ton of the stuff. How did you make that work? Like, how did you get it?
I think it comes down to a few things. So no one's doing content like we're doing, especially for the alcohol brand.
Guaranteed, people, if you haven't seen this content, holy shit.
Yeah, and we do a lot of it too. Like that's, I think, the best part of why I would start something is because I know how to do it all, right? Like as far as write it, direct it, I edit all the stuff. I'm in all of it.
Yeah,
because I mean, like we're not spending any money.
Yeah.
We're spending money. We're not like spending what it would cost. We're not spending $350,000 on an ad. So I think it's being consistent on that and just driving it in people's face. Like I'm pretty, I'm not shy. Mm-hmm. I'll tell if I'm in a room, I'm going to tell you about it, and I'm not really like shameless at all. So like I'm always promoting it. So I think that helps. I think that it tastes really well. I think when people try it, they actually like it. And if I don't know someone in the city, then Jax knows them. Yeah. So people will know about it, and then people get it into the bars. I'm pretty heavy in the bar scene. So that's really worked. But I think it really comes down to the product, right? Like I can market it all day and people will like the marketing and whatnot. If they don't like the actual juice, then.
Hey, I like what you said there. Shout out to my older brother, Darren. He once told me that if you don't tell the guy standing behind you in the grocery store lineup about what you're selling, you're not telling enough people. Yeah. And, it's such a crazy thing to say. Like, you need to tell everybody about what you're doing for it to work. But it's true. Not only because, A, you're getting the word out about your product, but B, it's very affirming to yourself because you are now committed a little bit more. If you tell everybody that you are going to make a rum and make a rum company, you kind of have to do it. Yeah, you can't fail.
Yeah, no, it's a trip because it's also, I feel sorry for my wife because she's got to hear it all the time. But like, I'm always talking about it. I have to because I mean, again, it's quiet mouths don't get fed, right? So
yeah.
And being an independent booze brand, these guys have all the money in the world. So how are we being different? We're being different from the way we market, our personalities. Like you've met Chris.
Yeah.
So Chris is really good in a room. I'm good in a room.
And Nickel 9's a cool place. Like I thought
it's a great place. And it's only getting cooler. Like the cocktail classes they're doing, the events they're doing, they're they're just coming up with more innovative products at all times. They're starting to rep other products.
The Amaro is fantastic.
That Amaro is really, really good.
It's purple. Just if you love Amaro, you know that dark brown color, know that super herbally flavor profile, boozy profile. You get this. This is an Amaro that's purple. It's not super thick in color. Like it's not deep in color. On its own, it's spectacular, obviously. But as a cocktail enhancer, it's fun. What did you make? Before the show. What did we drink?
Well, we made the Jackery, which is you'll see the video next week, but it's actually Chris Jax's recipe. But I stole it.
Okay.
I stole it because he's a sucker, and I made I pretended it's my recipe. So Chris Jax the Jackery.
Yeah.
So it's 1.5 ounces of Island Diaz, 1 ounce lime juice, 1 ounce Jakeman's maple syrup, and 1/2 ounce of the Nickel 9 Amaro.
Yeah.
Shaken. It was really good.
I really enjoyed that. I do not like sweet drinks at all. Actually,
it wasn't that sweet though, was it?
It wasn't. It was perfectly balanced. Yeah. I loved it. I feel like there's the lime juice and the herbally, I don't know how to say that, herbally flavor from the Amaro bring that away from the sweetness and back into the realm of savory. I thought it was really good. Brilliant recipe.
Yeah, shout out Chris Jax. Or myself, because I stole it. So
something that we did talk about earlier is nobody drinks anymore.
Yeah, well, that comes down to my dad's thing too, right? Like that's why we're getting into the non-alcoholic market, because it's sales are down across the board for a lot of people, and I think just younger people just aren't drinking.
It's true, and I wouldn't say it's such an absolute statement that nobody drinks anymore. It's not true, but people are drinking a lot less, and it's not like there's people that just don't drink at all. It's just they won't. It just doesn't have the culture it used to have. And for young people to go into the liquor store and buy a $40 bottle of terrific rum, just not likely to happen. What are they buying?
You know what? So I did some LCBO tastings in Wasaga.
Yeah,
it's a lot different a demographic than like the Collingwoods or like in the Toronto, and people are buying cans. I'm finding so like they're buying the seltzers, they're buying like the hard iced teas and lemonades.
Yeah,
that's kind of like this market, I feel. And it makes sense. Like you're gonna go to the beach, grab a couple cans, or don't. Maybe not.
Yeah. No, just take a bottle of Island Diaz on the beach. But like that said, so like, what's your business plan? Like you're gonna do RTDs. Right?
So we have 3 RTDs coming out.
So RTD, for those of you who don't know, ready to drink, cans, ready to go.
Ready to go. Boom.
Chill and serve. What are you doing?
So we have the Long Island Diaz, which is like our take on a Long Island iced tea, made with all Nickel 9 products.
Because there's like a lot of boozes in a Long Island iced tea.
This one, the only thing we don't have is tequila in it.
Yeah.
So we have the orange curacao.
Love that.
We have the gin, the vodka, Island Diaz spice rum, and splash of Coke.
Some lemon juice, I guess.
Lemon juice.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
And then we have the rumarita, which is a tamarind rumarita.
Ooh, what's a tamarind root? That's a
tamarind.
Yeah, nice.
So that one's just tamarind. Obviously, Island Diaz. We have lime juice. Yeah. And then we have the Island Diaz rum and root, which is a rum and root beer, and the root beer is made in Nickel 9 as well.
That's a cool combination for me, because like root beer is made from sassafras.
Yeah.
Love in an elevator. I should not.
There it is again.
There it is. But there's sassafras in this, so they kind of goes well together.
Totally.
Is it the same sassafras? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like this. Have you had a root beer?
No, I haven't. So I'm trying to be somewhat healthy, and I feel like you're kind of like a bit of the Geppetto to me. Every time like we hang out, I feel like you're like we go out for lunch or we go for dinner or whatever. You're like, you want a drink? I'm like, yeah, I'll have a whatever. And then you're like, no, I'll just have a soda water. I'm like, you're the kind of guy who doesn't have a drink, but you get everybody else to drink. You just wind up the toys, then let them go.
I'm your pusher, man. No, it's funny because I think the last time we had dinner, I did like 65 days no drinking.
Yeah. I'm sitting there anyway. So I don't mix a lot of drinks. So if I do drink Island Diaz, which Kim will test, she's like, we go through a lot of it for some reason.
Nice.
That's my fault. I usually just drink it the way it is, usually on ice. It's great. But I don't mix a lot of drinks, but I do find that a Coke Zero goes so well with that. And so I haven't really tested it with the root beer yet, because root beer is full of sugar and I just don't necessarily get into that.
Yeah.
And if they came out with a diet root beer that didn't taste like aspartame, then I would probably go for it. But so I got to get into it and try it. I'll try the RTD.
Yeah, well, I'll get you those as soon as we have them.
Yeah, sure you could. Hey, no checking your phone while you're at work. Great conversation. I know you and I have been friends for a while. We never see each other because you're constantly flying around the world filming stuff, which is awesome. But great. Thanks for doing this episode and telling people who and how you are, because nobody.
I don't even think we scratched the surface. We might have to do episodes.
Okay, so season 2,
season 2 we'll come back,
and we'll talk.
I might be a stripper by then.
I want to talk about,
if they're lucky.
I want to talk about on the next episode with you. I want to talk about your marketing a bit more and talk about Hank the Hunk and all that sort of stuff. Don't answer any questions now, because we're going to say this is teaser for when you come back.
I like it.
So thanks for doing this, guys. This is full time for episode 4 of the 86 podcast, the Island Diaz podcast. You have your own podcast. And we'll talk about that too. So we'll talk about your podcast. We'll talk about what's next for.
I got to bring it back. I'm bringing it back soon.
Yeah.
So we'll get you on mine.
You have, but you have like celebrities on your podcast. So when you're done checking out the 86 podcast.
So do you.
Yeah, I have you. Check out the Island Diaz podcast. It's a lot of fun. Up next on the 86 podcast, we have Caleb Borland from Reuven. He's going to talk about food trends. This guy knows everything there is to know about restaurant dining, because all he does is fly around the country and live in restaurants and sell chicken. I'm going to start calling him the Chicken Man of Canada. Anyways, thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me.
Thanks to Freeman Signature for sponsoring the first 5 episodes. This is episode 4 in the can. Thanks, everybody.
Does that answer that question?
It's okay, good. I always ask people, I ask chefs what they would, because I didn't ask Jay Ashton this question because he's not a chef in a restaurant, but we made you an honorary food service member here because of your Man of Kent and your filming. But I do ask the food service people, our industry is a lot of things, man. It's crazy. We've had to pivot through COVID. We've had to do a lot of things. Our industry is so diverse. But the question is, what does the food service industry in Canada need to 86? Like, what can we have less of in our industry? I know it's a loaded question, but
I think because I travel so much with people, if we don't ask for the check to be split right away, they'll never do it.
Oh, you're saying like the upfront, like, hey, we're on separate checks thing?
Yeah. I feel like maybe the waitresses could ask us. Is that 86ing anything?
Yeah, I'd say it's 86ing the notion that somebody's going to pay on one check.
Yeah, because I mean, we'll be with like 8 people. If we don't ask, they can't split it up after. And I don't give a fuck. I'll throw in. But a lot of people, they have credit or like right now, no one has cash. Mm-hmm. I always carry cash, but no one has cash and no one wants to put it on their tab. And there's going to be 3 people that aren't going to pay them. Yeah. 100%. I know that. So I think that. Does that make sense?
It does. So in my food service career, like, separate checks was always a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
If somebody came, especially if they didn't say it up front, and we used to make fun of this when I used to work when I was a waiter, like, if you were a teacher or you're like an office, like, cubicle worker, like, we would and you'd come in groups or whatever, like, we hated these because it was always going to be separate checks and very little tipping. But we kind of knew that up front. We would, not to rip on teachers, but like, just when you go out, like, seriously, anyways, we would rip on that. But the way that technology works now and the way that you assign everything, like when you're ringing stuff in, and you probably know this, I don't know, do you ring stuff in at man? No. Like your POS system now, you get a club or whatever, like seat 1 is having this, and this. So for you to print one check or separate checks, is really or just move things around. It's pretty simple.
I can see how it'd be annoying.
But I did go out with, I went with a group where we had to have separate checks because we were going to expense them, right?
Right.
And you can't, anyways. We went to this one restaurant and they told us up front, we don't do separate checks. And it was downtown Toronto. It was a really cool, funky spot. I wish I could, even if I could name it, I wouldn't, because I didn't want to, throw shade on anybody. But they were upfront about it. They wouldn't do it. Now, it was like a Monday night or whatever. It was dead in there, and they waived the rules for us because we really needed it. And we weren't going to go there if they didn't.
Right.
And it was such a terrific restaurant. Really cool. It's like one of those like places where they used black light. So their decor was everything that would work in black light. So it was kind of cool. Don't go in there with a black shirt with any lint on it, though. Just fashion comment. But for me, I'm like, it's so easy to do the separate checks.
Yeah.
So to not do it is kind of crazy. But yeah, when you're ringing stuff in, you should be, seat number this. And it helps the people that are running your food to know what seat is having what. So you don't auction off shit at the table. Like, who's having the lasagna? Like, I told you I'm having the lasagna. Why are you asking me back?
Yeah.
That's my pet peeve.
Yeah, I think it's mainly like, we're all on per diems when we're leaving. So we do have to keep receipts and all that kind of stuff. So one guy having a $400 receipt is not going to help anyone. And then no one's going to pay him either. So like filmmakers are pirates. So, if they can get out of it, they will. So I think separate checks, like if it was like an automatic question, it was going to be separate.
Yeah, Kim and I
always feel weird asking for it too, right? So
I hate having to ask for it. It should be automatic.
Yeah.
You should see, like, you should look at a table and see. If it's a family, somebody's likely paying that check. Yeah. But if it's a bunch of like people, like,
because when I'm like, if we don't ask, I know the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God, by the end of it, she's there, them, or whatever, are you gonna be pissed? That we didn't ask for separate checks, or now that we want separate checks. It's just, it ruins the whole experience for me. So.
And the end of the bill, the end of the dining experience, I always say this, like, make desserts good, because it's the end of the dining experience is the dining experience.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing with the check, it's a thing. When I worked at Krabby Joe's, we were like, when you present the check to somebody, you give them their bill, like, you need to go back and settle that up with them, with the machine or whatever, within 2 minutes, because people don't want to sit with that bill. It's a weird thing. Yeah. Even if they remain after the bill, like to chill and, chit chat or whatever and finish their drinks, or even just, squat. They still need to have that like process like done in their mind.
As a freelancer, I just need to pay it right away, just in case someone else takes my money. So
it's a good one. No, that's a good one. I like that. A good answer. The answers so far to things that we need to 86 from the industry have been diverse. I like that one. Tipping was one of the ones.
So get rid of it?
Yeah, get rid of tipping. So Cameron Westenberg's going to come on the show in season 2 and talk about tipping culture. She is from Canada. She's a server here in Canada, but now she's a server in Australia. So obviously in Australia they don't tip, and here we do tip.
So they don't tip, but they get paid better?
She gets paid like $30 an hour or something.
Oh, really?
Okay. And she's going to correct me on that because it's probably higher, but she gets paid a lot of money per hour. But again, in Australia, that somehow is not.
Yeah, but I know some people are making $1,200 a night cash.
I know. I think she's all for the tipping culture, but we're going to talk to her about that and get her to weigh in on tipping culture. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. I saw ask for a tip when I was in BC on a self checkout in a like an independent grocery store. Oh, I know. I'm like, who's getting that money?
Yeah, you know what? I'm a sucker, dude. I'm giving everyone 20%.
I know. We were in Italy, him and I, in last October for my birthday, and we're so accustomed to tipping, but you can actually offend people.
I try to tip
by giving them too much of a tip. Yeah. If you leave a couple of bucks, they're like, "Hey, that's great, thanks, I appreciate that." Yeah. But if you give them like what we would give as a tip, they're like, "Do I suck that bad that I need the money? Like, am I going to get fired tomorrow?" So they can be offended by big tip.
No, tipping, like I mean, I don't know. Like when I'm going to get food and it's call it a Subway sandwich and they're adding the tip on that, I still do it. I'm like, what do you mean? But then again, they are making the food. I don't know.
I think that tipping, back to the whole separate check thing with tipping combined here. Mm-hmm. So my organization, like, I'm allowed to expense meals, obviously, but I have a rule about when I'm expensing meals for myself, for my work, about what the tip percent should be. It needs to be a certain percent. But
what is that percent?
It's 15, which I feel is a reasonable tip. Yeah. It's reasonable. Yeah. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. It's a reasonable tip. But when you go out nowadays, tipping at 15% is not even an option anymore. Like the lowest option is always like
20% is an option. I'm getting 18 to 22 and then 26.
Yeah.
They're skipping 20.
Yeah. They're like, no, we want more.
Inflation on everything.
Yeah, it's inflation on tipping. So so it's kind of like this thing where like now I feel bad and I have to go back and somehow like spend 10 minutes with the machine trying to figure out, okay, how do I go back into my own amount? Because I got to do 15. Even if I drop a $5 on the table when I leave, you know what I mean? Like, it's still like, I still need to do that.
You're still doing too much.
Yeah. Like make it easy for us. Yeah. Business people that have to expend shit, make it easy for us because, man.
Because we'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Treat us nicely.
Totally.
Separate checks and put the 15% option on there. We may leave you more if you do so.
Yeah.
Probably will.
For sure.
Make it difficult. Go to hell.
Life.
All right. This is done. All right. It's 86 this episode.
Sweet.